Respected Senator, and I think respected elder brothers and sisters, and also general public brothers and sisters. Firstly, I want to thank those young
students,
performer, and especially those young children. They play quite freely. Some go like this, some go like that. So I very appreciate. Then they, what do you call, folk dance.
Dance, the opera singing.
That, when I was young in Lhasa, as a monk, these are not permissible.
Allowed.
But I played that. So this was a performance very familiar in my mind. Since each summer at Nobuliga Palace, few days they perform from different groups. And that period, about 6 days, my mother also joined with me. And most important, no lesson.
No classes.
No classes. So I always enjoy that 6 days. So I remember when I saw these performances like that. So thank you very much. Then this Boston city, quite familiar to me. Few occasions I came, I'd give some lecture. I think university also. Many years ago, it's some lecture like that. So now this time, last 2 days, very meaningful day. This is some discussion with some scholars about mind, emotions, and also about ecology. So as far as ecology is concerned, I really learned many useful information. I really enjoy. Now here, public talk. Whenever I give talk, I always make clear, the speaker, the audience, we are same human being, no differences. Mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. As a matter of fact, 7 billion human beings on this planet is same. And most important, each one wants a happy life. Do not want suffering or problem. And all humanity have a right to achieve their wish, be happy life. So I always stress importance of the sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. On the human level, all 7 billion are same. I think on human level, I think hardly, not much sort of causes fighting, killing. On a secondary level, different country, different races, different color, different faith, and different sort of social status, or these things, and different profession, then there are differences. So most man-made problem, not on the level of sameness of human being, but secondary level, or different nation, different color, different faith. In this country, I think, the recent centuries, I think much changed. 그래서 거기서 쓰지 당구소지 슬립 내버서지 Lincoln President Lincoln abolished the slavery. Then Martin Luther King. It's a civil right. Now the president also originally come from Africa, some black African origin. Much have changed. But still, some cases, recently I was in Alabama. It's still sometimes you see the little sort of gap on the basis of color. Little sort of discriminations. And some other part of the world also it happened. Then of course, different national interest. I think not only in the past, but even today, some violence. Then very, very unfortunate thing is, in the name of religion, different faith and causing killing. Unthinkable. All major religious traditions teach us practice of love, forgiveness, tolerance. And suppose people who follow that still killing. Unthinkable. The warrior is due to national interest or something, some other things, killing. Very bad, but understandable. People, suppose who practice love, forgiveness, tolerance, killing. Unthinkable. So, much problem which we are facing with too much stress on the secondary level of differences. So therefore, logically, if we want to reduce these conflict among human beings, killing each other, bully each other, exploiting each other, cheating each other, we must promote awareness. We are same human being. We all have same right to achieve happy life. Now question, what is happy life? Become rich, millionaire or billionaire? Is it right way to achieve happiness? No. If we closely observe. Some people, very rich, some of my friends, I think very rich, maybe billionaire, but as a human being, unhappy person, a lot of worry, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. So this shows money, wealth alone, no guarantee bring happy life. Then education, knowledge here. That also not very sure. Some very, very smart brain, highly educated, but too much stress, too much worry. So, and then also, I think people, when a little bit sort of disturb their mind, and then take, let's say, tranquilizer, or alcohol, or drugs. Many years, one occasion in America, now I can't remember the place, the name of the place. I said
Travel by road.
drive long, several hours. So lunchtime, stop, one family, quite big house. So must be very rich. So after our lunch, I went bathroom, take care of my teeth. And then, while I the brushing, the front, one sort of box,
Cupboard.
cupboard, it really open. Then out of my curiosity, maybe I think illegal, I open. Then there I noticed some pill, tranquilizer. Then I felt, oh, the family, people who live in that big house, everything, I say, very good, but they also need tranquilizer. So I think I'm quite sure, because of medical, also the knowledge, year by year advance. So maybe some people, I think, expect eventually through surgery, we should remove the part of our brain which brings more anxiety, more stress, more sort of what's the frustration. I think most probably, I think impossible. So long this mind or emotion there, that is the source of worry, source of mental pain. Physical pain is something different. But mental level pain is related with mind itself. So now brain specialist, to some extent, you see, they can because of the influence our way of thinking, or emotion level. But nowadays, you see, just a few days ago in Quality, Alabama, it's some scientist.
University of Alabama.
University, huh?
Alabama. University of Alabama.
You see, they say, one scientist say, classical thinking, beside brain, because of that.
No role for mind.
No role of mind. Now that gradually now changing, they begin to feel there is another factor which affects our brain. That we call mind or consciousness. So ultimate source of worry, mental pain, come from mind itself. So logically, the method deal that also must develop within mind. So our daily experiences, physical comfort will not subdue our mental level worry or pain. Other hand, physical pain can subdue
Can be
by
subdued.
can be subdued by mental calmness or satisfaction. This is useful. Very powerful light. So, hockey.
Hockey.
What is
Boston Bruins.
Oh,
Hockey come. Gracias.
so with hockey cap, but zero about knowledge of hockey. Just I leaving India to America, you see, the international sort of the hockey festival at Dharamsala. And in the previous time also, you see, cricket, yes. So, hardly no knowledge of distinction hockey and cricket. Disgrace. So they invited me. So I went there. I think, West Indies, right?
West Indies. It was
West
the
Indies.
Indian Premier League.
And
West
Indian.
Indies and Indian team.
So I also expressed there. Since they invited me, I happily accepted. But I do not know who are winning, who are losing. So when they kick, right?
They hit it.
Hit the ball, they run. I don't know what is the meaning. So it is today. So therefore, real, also right method deal with mental level
Problems.
or mental level unhappiness must develop within mind. I think if nature creates such a way, physical pain, there's some kind of antidote of physical sort of illness by nature developed within our own body, like immune system. Suppose,
Counter the external viruses.
So similarly, mental level, emotional level, such as anger, fear, too much worry, brings really unhappiness. So the counterforce, also by nature, by biological factor, we already equipped. Sense of affection, sense of concern of others' well-being. So these are the counters of the force. We already have. No question whether we pay more attention about these things or not. So therefore, irrespective whether believer or non-believer, see the warm-heartedness, sense of concern of others' well-being, that is the real sort of important thing. Now medical scientists, they say they found through their investigation fear, anger, hatred eating our immune system. Other hand, more compassionate thought, sense of concern of others' well-being, very helpful to sustain immune system. Obviously, I think every of us, so we all have the experience. Did they we face some kind of problem and quarrel, or develop anger and shouting? Then next morning, you feel a little uncomfortable. Sometimes bad mood. And dream also some kind of discomfort. The day you really enjoy with genuine friends who really trust each other, respect each other, genuine sense of concern each other, then the next morning you feel unusually, even physical, but lighter. Young Guruji. This has nothing to do with religion. Even animal. Also, make Saraswati appreciate our love. When we show our pets, cats or dogs, even birds, if we show them genuine love, they appreciate. So we are human beings. Biologically, we all equipped these things. By nature, when we're born, even during we are in mother's home, the mother's peace of mind is a crucial factor for proper development of the child, unborn child. Mothers too much anxiety, anger, these very bad for unborn child. Then, according to scientists, after birth, next few weeks, mother's physical touch is key factor for proper enlargement of the brain or proper development of the brain. Then they also tested monkey, young monkey, separated from their mother, and some young monkey
kept
live
with their mother.
With mother. Then they observe those young monkey who separated from mother often quarrel and a very bad mood. The monkey with mother, playful. So we are same. So our life started that way. So experience during that period really observed,
imprint
or absorbed in our blood. So therefore, people, constant anger, fear, very bad for our health. People who received affection, trust, friendship, that very good for our health. So therefore, sometimes, people, when we talk about value of compassion, forgiveness, then people feel these are part of religious practice. So those people who have not much interest about religion, then they also neglect about these things. That is, I think, a mistake. Now, that part we must make effort to make known whether believe religion or not, and believe this religion, that religion, it's up to individual. Now today, out of 7 billion human beings, over 1 billion are non-believer. Okay. If they prefer, without belief, okay. That's their individual right. But there's no point to neglect about these basic human values. So, so here, according to Indian tradition, the secular concept, secular according to Indian understanding. How many Indians here? Raise hand. 1, 2. Any Indian?
Do.
Okay. This side? Okay. So according to Indian understanding, the secular means respect all religions, no preference, this religion or that religion. And also, I think quite such a unique, secular also means respect non-believer. That's, I think, very, very relevant to today's world. In the West, including America, some of my friends, they say secularism and atheism, some sort of close link. So then naturally, atheism is anti-God. It is a little bit sort of, because I'm serious. So secular, not at all like that. Respect all religion. Now India's constitution itself, based on spirit of secular, because India is a multi-religious country, so it needs respect all religion. So the constitution based on secular concept. So it is not at all against religion. And then one unique thing, also respect non-believer. So I think India, after independence, now India compare neighboring states, I think most stable and non-violent principle. I think most stable and religious harmony because of secular concept and also ahimsa, non-violence sort of tradition. So India is a living example. India, most populated democratic country. Most populated country, China. Now, 1.34 billions. India, 1 billion, like that. So that stable, peaceful. Although a lot of drawbacks there, corruptions, gap, huge gap, rich and poor. These are drawbacks, but still, overall, very stable, peaceful, and religious harmony, wonderful. Just recently, I convened one sort of religious interfaith meeting, a serious meeting, serious discussion. So really, I think India is example. So these things, Indian according Indian understanding, secular is not at all something distant from religion. So, country, education system, secular way, I think we must develop secular way to educate warm-heartedness. Recently I was in Canada, Vancouver. Serious discussions. And here also, you see, we discuss with scientists. It's a purely secular way to educate about inner value, entirely based on scientific finding. That now I fully committed to promote these things. So, conclusion, ultimate source of happy life is within ourselves. Not money, not power, not just mere education. I think we can see, many troublemaker, different part of the world, I think generally quite well educated. So there is no guarantee with existing education brings inner peace or less trouble. No. So in education, some systematic sort of lesson, teaching about inner value, then the generation who come through that kind of education can be more sensible, more peaceful, more compassionate. Although result overnight will not come. It takes decades. But worthwhile, make attempt now. Then perhaps later part of 21st century can be different,
world.
A different world. I always say telling 20th century become century of violence. Now this 21st century should be century of peace. Peace does not mean no problem. But peace, we must develop, we must create peaceful century. So the right method to develop peaceful century is we must develop spirit of dialogue. Whenever, national level or international level or global level, whenever we face some problems, it's problem of human being, problems of humanity. So we must follow human way to approach this problem. That's a dialogue. Meet. No matter what the differences, what different object or different interest, but still part of the humanity. So like one family member, so try to solve the problem. Mutually agreeable solution. That's the only way. And ecology also. Now we need some kind of compromise. Yes, certainly, you see, we have to use nature resources, and also, you see, further develop these kinds of economy or modern sort of technology, these things. At the same time, keep in our mind minimums of damage about environment. So, I think the evidence of, our Kasota life, individual case, family level, community level, global level, I think more realistic, practical way, realistic way. Our health also, I think many young American boys and girls, so overweight. That also, I think you too much eating. So, many years ago, at Boston here, one occasion, my driver, overweight one person. I remember his name, Tiny or something. His name, Tiny, but his physical, huge. So I remember his name. So, when we drive, he always see taking something from his pocket, eating, never rest, always eating. So that's why he become overweight. At the same time, you see, people very much concerned about, you see, their physical health, and overweight is not good. But who created the overweight? Too much eating, too much drinking. So we need here also some kind of compromise, dialogue about health, your physical and your desire, some kind of compromise. That's, I think things are interrelated, interdependent. So we cannot pursue just from one angle, one independent sort of that angle. No, things interdependent, like that. So therefore, now existing our education system, generally speaking, I think very much oriented about material value. Not enough pay attention about our inner value. If we, because of that, if we put more religious sort of education, that also, now in a modern society,
complicated.
There are more different faiths. So, create some complication. Therefore, secular way to educate these things. So, since there are a few thousand you see, people here, change of humanity, achieve happy society, happy world. See, initiative must start from individual. Change global level, United Nations cannot do. We individual. First, individual, himself or herself, think more about this inner value. Then translate your daily life, more compassionate life. Then create more compassionate family. 1 family, 10 family, 100 family, 1,000 family, that is society. So that's the way change the society. Through that way, change humanity. And build happy world, peaceful world. So, I never consider I am something special. When I give talk, when I meet people, I always consider myself as another human being. I never consider I'm His Holiness Dalai Lama. I never consider. I'm just a human being. And as far as Buddhism is concerned, I'm a simple Buddhist monk. Nothing more. So on that way, we can communicate. If I too much consider I am I'm Dalai Lama and reincarnation of our Lokiteshvara, then actually, reality, I myself isolate rest of the people. Then I become lonely person. That brings more anxiety, more frustration. No use. Self-torture. When I consider I'm another human being, then easily communicate like that. So, please think more seriously about these points. Then if you feel some sense, then try to implement. If you feel no sense, then forget. Question, Pajoli?
No.
Question? Thank you. Yes, some question? Yes.
Some people say you cannot teach empathy. What do you think? Can you teach a person or a child to be more empathetic?
Yes, certainly. As I already mentioned, it's a true awareness and mainly use our common experience and common sense and then scientific findings. Through that way, you see, we can teach.
Where is the middle path through a typical busy American life?
Kasa.
Middle way, which can be tapshi karunas, the miss it, tell us how to take it.
That I think you know better. I just spend 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't know, in depth. So you should find. I think extreme luxurious life, not good. Including your own health, not good. Then, on that respect, you must think. Many millions of poor Americans, these also have the same right. So their living standard must uplift. So some American company really also spend some of their money for well-being of
poorer sector.
That's wonderful, wonderful. So there are many NGO, many individuals who really working for, the needy people. Wonderful. So, and then, of course, maybe too extreme. I am Buddhist monk, so Buddhist monk because of prohibited drink.
Alcohol.
So alcohol. So less alcohol. That also I think good. Too much alcohol eventually affect your liver. Not good. So your daily life, even though you have plenty of money, then too much luxurious lifestyle, not good. And then out of your money, spend more meaningful project like that. I don't know. Otherwise, I don't know. You should investigate. Then I think some people too much smoke. Say 20 is where
20 cigarettes.
20, then reduce 10. It's better. Like that. So there is always in any field some middle way. Extreme, even religious field, I think extreme sort of faith, blind faith, also sometimes not good. Extreme materialistic, also not good. Like that.
Out of everything you have done, what is the most memorable thing you have done?
Perhaps, I think one of them, I think last 30 years or so, you see, more serious sort of
discussion,
mutual learning with scientists, mainly 4 fields: cosmology, neurobiology, then physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. Really immense sort of interest, not only interest, immense benefit. So we fully sort of,
convinced.
We fully convinced. So our monastic institution in India, now since the last few years, we already start lesson or class of science. We already introduced. And I think 2 years ago, you see the 기록 탐전안에
And science education has been incorporated formally into the curriculum itself, and it's now part of one of the required examination subjects.
So that I feel, in ancient time, again you see Indians knows Nalanda institution. There's not only just Buddhist sort of learning center, but also, you see, at that time, I think all existence was the Indian knowledge, medicine, and all other
Astronomy.
astronomy and all other thing, study, and language, Sanskrit also. So therefore, our major monastic institution, you see, carrying that tradition. So now in the modern world, the science is very important. So therefore, must include like that. That I think, because it was
This is something that has been quite an important achievement.
Then next.
There are a couple of questions from young Tibetan children of Sunday school, age 5 to 11. Do you have a pet?
Yes. Nowadays, I have one old
Cat.
a cat. Now I think more than 15 years old. So now no longer playful. One female cat. Originally, you see, someone found one small cat, physically,
Quite weak.
quite weak. So if not take care, I think some animal may consume. So I kept that. So early period, very, very playful. Nowadays, like myself. These animal pets, really, very, very sincere. If we pay serious, sincere sort of affection, you see, their response. Like dog, they licking.
They lick.
Wonderful, really, very sincere. We human being, sometimes too much smart, showing a smile. Behind the smile, what is the reason? Sometimes it happens like that, isn't it? So I usually telling, a smile is something unique about a human being. But there are different kind of smile. Diplomatic smile, a smile with cheating motivation, and a sincere sort of
Smile.
A smile of appeasement, a smile of sincere human friendship. So we are quite smart. So the artificial smile sometimes bring more suspicion, isn't it? Genuine smile. So these animals, very genuine. They may occasionally little trick here and there, but basically very sincere, very trustworthy.
This is a question from a 10-year-old. Do you ever get angry?
Oh yes. Just other day, one sort of the person who introduced me, you see, he mentioned Dalai Lama consider manifestation of reincarnation of our Lokiteshvara, the God of
The Buddha of compassion.
Buddha of compassion. Then immediately I respond, oh, you do not see.
You have never seen. You have never
saw,
seen.
You see, my angry face. I told him, one story. I think several years ago in New York or New Jersey, one New York Times columnist, one lady, interviewed me, and then she asked me, besides other sort of questions, she asked me, what is your legacy? What do you want legacy?
What kind of legacy do you want for you?
Then I respond, I'm Buddhist monk, so you should not think these things. Important is you should be sincere and serve as much as you can. Should not think your own name or your own kasota, legacy, these things. Then another subject. Then again she asked me, same question, legacy. Then I answer same way. Then again some other topic. Then again she asked me, third time. Then I lost my temper. So I think, because abruptly ended our interview. Then I think after 1 year or two, we again met in New York City. And we both recall that event, both laughing like that. Yes.
So I'll read one more question from the list. What do you do in your spare time?
Of course, when I quite young, then I spend some time as a hobby, some sort of planting some flowers or some repair clock. Not small watch, that's difficult, but more bigger one. So one time, again, I think one photographer, one lady from New York, I know her. You see, she came to Dharamsala, India, and that day her camera somehow not working, damaged. So then I asked her, or I will check. Not 100% confidence, but hopefully I may sort of repair
it.
Then my good luck, I repaired. Next day I met, yes,
Your camera is repaired.
I repaired, and freely. Nowadays, whenever I have time, some thinking, Buddhists call analytical meditation, like that. And then, when I have sort of sufficient time, then study or read some of the ancient Nalanda masters' writing and their commentary. Very, very helpful. Very helpful. I am Buddhist monk. So the unique thing about Buddhist tradition, Buddhist practice is utilize human intelligence maximum way. Through that way, more insights. Through that way, transform our emotion. So knowledge, very important. So in order to gain knowledge, read, study, very, very important. Each day, about 5 hours, I spend some meditation, different kind of meditation, including the deity visualization, some mandalas like that. They're mainly analytical meditation. Every day, my day start 3 o'clock in the morning. Then in the morning about 4 hours, some meditation. Then after evening, another 1 hour, like that. That's my daily routine. Then about 6:30, 7, sleep. So sometimes modern sort of lifestyle. One occasion in Berlin, the room of the hotel where they arranged my stay. The direct opposite there, one nightclub.
Nightclub, yeah.
So about 7, I start sleeping, and I can hear like that, and then also the window, I can see blue light. Light is in different color: blue, green, red, yellow, like that. Then about midnight, I wake up. They're still going on, like that. Then about 3:30, 4, I already now get up. They're still going on, like that. I'm quite sure. Then I think the next day, I think they really boring way.
They will be completely dead.
Oh. So I think sometimes I jokingly expressing, nature create day and night. So night means sleep. Or perhaps lay people, sex. Daytime, study, or some working.
Yeah.
So these young people, whole night spent like that. And then daytime, I think sleep. That's just opposite, like that. Next question.
You have said there is no need for Westerners to become Buddhists. You have actually encouraged them to stay in their own traditions and incorporate practices where it is helpful. Do you still feel that way? If so, what elements of the Buddhist practices would you suggest would be helpful, most helpful?
That I consider something very important. Firstly, I respect all different major religions: theistic religion, non-theistic religion, within theistic, Judaism, and Christianity, and Islam, and so on. All, I think, about 2,000 years sort of old traditions. So, in the past and present and the future also, I think millions of people get immense inspiration from this religion. So it's sufficient reason to respect. Then secondly, I fully committed promotion of religious harmony. So when we, as a Buddhist, like Mongolia, also some Himalayan regions, it's a Buddhist. So some missionaries say, beside their sort of helping education, health, wonderful. But beside that, they also making effort, conversion. That I usually criticize. So when some missionary people, let's say, conversion, involve activities of conversion, we feel little sort of uncomfortable. Then same way, if I, as a Buddhist, try to propagate Buddhism in Christian country, it's absolutely wrong. So one time in Mongolia, I met some Korean missionaries. They come to see me, and then I told them, this is Buddhist country. If you help some education field or health, most welcome. If you carry some missionary work, then this is not right. This is Buddhist country. So then I told them proudly, when I give some talk or some lecture on Buddhism in the West, I always make clear, Westerners should keep your own traditional faith. Changing religion is not good and not easy also. So I told them, if I myself try to propagate in Buddhism in the West, in non-Buddhist countries, then how to
now criticize them.
Criticize them like that. So therefore, and then also the individual case also. I have a nice story. In early 60, large number of Tibetan, then there is not yet start our resettlement. So many of them, road worker, very difficult. Then one Tibetan official, lay official, he posted in western part of Tibet. So 1959, he had the opportunity escape with his family. So his wife and 2 or 3 children, very young. Then eventually, husband, the official, passed away. Then mother and 2 or 3 children remained. In early 60, I think 60, maybe 62, 63, one day she came to see me, and her stories, her sort of difficult life, she told me. Then she told me, some missionary, at that time, yes, we refugee received immense help from Catholic service,
relief service,
relief service, and some other Christian missionaries, really immense help. So she told me she received a lot of help. Then also missionaries take care about her 2 or 3 children's education also. Then she told me, now for this life, now she become Christian. Then she added, next life she will be Buddhist. That's a clear sign of confusion. Then my friend, for example, one Polish old lady, one time, I think after the Second World War, during that period, she came to India, escaped into India, then joined Theosophy Theosophical Society in Madras. So since '56, we know each other. Then after '59, she became a very close friend of Tibetan, and she helped some the young Tibetan education like that. So eventually she became Buddhist. However, at the time of her end of the life, I think the concept of God, Creator, seems to constantly reflect in her mind. So therefore, it is safer, better keep one's own tradition. So that's, I feel, is very, very important. And those individuals who really, find the Buddhist way of approach is more suitable, then should think again and again and study more. Then fully convinced this Buddhist way of approach is really suitable, really convincing, and then okay, as individual freedom, individual right to follow. And meantime, you must respect your own traditional religion. That's very important. Then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, all major world religion is same practice of love, forgiveness, tolerance, self-discipline, and contentment, simplicity. So in this field, we can learn each other. Some of the Christian monasteries and nunnery in Italy, particularly in Italy, I have some occasion to visit their monastery or nunnery. Oh, the monks and nuns, their lifestyle, very simple, simplicity. Sometimes I felt some Tibetan monastery, I think more luxurious. So we must learn. We must copy. Their sort of simplicity. Wonderful. The present Pope dismissed one German bishop or something. You see, too much luxurious sort of lifestyle. So Pope found this is wrong, so dismissed. Wonderful. So I think sometimes we Tibetan also need some sort of high group or committee. So some kind of disciplinary action. I think necessary. I, as an individual, cannot do that. Some kind of group, like that. So, and then single-pointed sort of mind. Single-pointed mind. So we have, I think, still living tradition. Tradition very much living. So some Christian is showing interest to practice single-pointed meditation. That's okay. The late father was a Catholic father.
Brother Wayne.
Brother Wayne is a very close our friend, very, very close. And he very, very staunch supporter about the Tibetan just cause. So we often, talking about the common practice, these things. One day, he asked me about the one Buddhist unique, the
concept.
Concept. That is emptiness. So he asked me about that sort of concept. Then I told him, this is not your business. This is Buddhist business. Don't ask that. I really, a little bit because of anxious. It's a Buddhist concept. No absolute, no independent or absolute thing. Everything interdependent or relative from certain level. So therefore, if that concept, if he's familiar, then it might hindrance his single-pointed faith towards Creator as absolute, independent. So therefore, I deliberately feel, it's not good. So I told him. And then also, I think 2 years ago in South India, in Bangalore, one Hindu spiritual leader, his organization is really devoted, helping thousands school children, their meal. He's really helping immensely. He constructed special factory, making food, and some certain a pot and truck. So he daily you see, serving lunch, many thousand school children. So then he invited me. So then we casual talk. We talk about Buddhism, Buddhist practice, and the Hindu practice. Then I told him, yes, Buddhism and Hinduism is like twin. So the practice of moral kasa.
Moral print and morality.
Trim.
Yeah, morality.
Or practice of morality, practice of single-pointed mind, or practice of wisdom. These three same. Then the real differences and the demarcation is Atma and Anatma. So Buddhists know soul theory. All Hindus, all non-Buddhist of ancient Indian sort of spirituality, all accept the independent self, or they call soul or Atma. So that's demarcation, differences. So then I told him, yes, these two concepts, independent self, no independent self. So these are our private business. You believe independent self. Okay, believe that. I believe no self, no independent self. I believe that. So I follow that way. So that's private business, no problem. Like that.
Yes. What can we in America do to help Tibetans realize their justice and freedom? And another question which is similar, how can young people get involved to support the Tibetan cause?
Firstly, you see, our cause, I think, just cause. And then my main sort of concern is we have, let's say, our own language, our own script. In Tibetan script, in Tibetan language, I think many Nalanda scholars, masters, writing, you see, translated into Tibetan. So we have over 300 volumes which translated from India, mainly Sanskrit, then also Pali, and to some extent, I think, Nepalese. From translation from Chinese, perhaps I think 15 volumes, 15, 20 volumes. The rest all is translated from Sanskrit and Pali. So now, as a result of meeting with many Buddhists, including many Chinese Buddhists and Japanese or Korea and Vietnamese and Thai or Burma, Sri Lanka, Laos, Cambodia, it became clear that a Tibetan translation not only is a big number, but also is quite precise. Some scholar who knows both Tibetan and Sanskrit, when they find some difficulties to understand the meaning of the Sanskrit, origin Sanskrit, they usually refer Tibetan, because Tibetan translations are very, very precise. So now today, I think the best language to describe fully about a Nalanda tradition is Tibetan language. It's the only language. Although Buddhism, Nalanda tradition, reached China, I think at least 2-3 centuries earlier. But like Madhyamaka philosophy, and then also, especially Buddhist epistemology.
Epistemology.
Epistemology, you see, available only in Tibetan language. So therefore, the preservation of Tibetan Buddhist knowledge, and with that, Tibetan culture, culture of peace, culture of non-violence, and ultimately culture of compassion. That kind of thing, really worthwhile to preserve. And not only you see the 6 million Tibetans' interest, but now China, about 400 million Buddhists. So many of these Chinese Buddhists really showing interest about Tibetan Buddhism. So therefore, really worthwhile. And now China, look, the huge gap reaching the poor, and the moral ethics very, very low. So immense corruptions, like that. So many Chinese really hoping Buddhist sort of teaching can help to develop, to further
to restore.
To restore these human values and moral values. Even President Xi Jinping, his recent visit in Europe, in Paris, you see, he publicly expressed in Chinese culture, Buddhism have very important role. So regarding promotion of Chinese culture, Buddhists should have some sort of serious responsibility. And he similarly expressed in New Delhi also. So that, I think, his approach, you see, his thinking, you see, seems very realistic. So it is quite unusual. A communist leader expressing importance of Buddhism is something quite new, isn't it? Like that. So preservation of Tibetan Buddhist knowledge and Buddhist culture is something, I think, really worthwhile and very important. So the problem, hardliner of Chinese communists, their main concern is stability and unity. So they consider unique Tibetan culture, including Tibetan language, they feel a source of threat, of separation. So that is due to their fear and narrow-mindedness. I always telling or expressing when I meet some Chinese, look, India, East India, South India, West India, North India, different language, different script, but no danger of separation. You see, if concerned people, have satisfaction, then these different languages, different sort of culture will not be source of separation. And Kashmir is something different because of Pakistan and some political reason. So overall, India, I think, are very, very stable. Some South Indian, they much prefer their own language. Northern Indian, they say Hindi is more prominent. South Indian, for example, Tamil Nadu, they say Tamil language is much more
Advanced,
like that. That's okay. But so long, you see, they really remain Indian Union, like that. So in China, no problem. Keep different people, different culture, different language. That gives them satisfaction. Recently, I met one Chinese who visited Tibet. He told me material development, including new buildings or these, much developed. But Tibetan loves their own culture, their own the Buddhist tradition. So some restriction on that, so that really brings much sort of
Feeling of hurt.
ah,
Feeling of hurt.
feeling of hurt. One Chinese who visited Tibet, he told me like that. So therefore, so please, whenever you have opportunity, meeting with Chinese brothers, sisters, some scholars, some businessmen or women, and then some students, please tell them, what is the sort of reality of Tibetan, including Kasachuti,
Their culture.
or culture, language. Then environment. One Chinese environmentalist, ecologist, he wrote one article. One Irish ecologist brought that article to me. That article mentioned the Chinese, the ecologist, as a result of his study, he found effect from Tibetan
Plato.
Plato, the effect to global warming as much as South Pole, North Pole. So he described Tibetan plateau is third pole. And then obviously, many Indian scholars say the major rivers which cover from China up to Pakistan come from Tibetan plateau. So in these rivers, I think over a billion human beings' life depend on these rivers. So preserve ecology and not exploit the river as a natural resources. Sometimes there is some sort of talking, the major rivers which go south,
Maybe redirected.
to North Gobi Desert. These, I think, some concerned nations, I think, and especially scientists, discuss, research, then make a decision. Otherwise, these are like the Three Gorges.
The Three Gorges Dam.
Some scientists, some Chinese scientists, they really have great reservation. So therefore, you see these things. So therefore, ecologically, you see, so very, very
Important.
careful
Conservation.
conservation is something very, very important. So please tell these things. Then best thing, I often is telling, visit to Tibet. It may be a little bit expensive, so that you can do something. You borrow some money from your friend. Then, when you reach Tibet, you can buy some antiques. Antique. Then, after you return, you can sell little higher price. So that's very important. Go there, visit. And the Chinese officials always say, "Oh, Tibet, wonderful, highly developed. They really liberated." So tell them, please. Now you mentioned, you see, highly developed, highly satisfied Tibetan, and then let us see. Let us go there. So you should go there and see. Then what you saw there, and then telling people what's the reality. If things are very very good. Then nobody complain. We, handful refugee community, our real boss, I always mentioning, real sort of boss inside Tibet, I mean those Tibetans who are inside Tibet. Refugee population around 150 or 60,000. Inside Tibet, about 6 million. So there is the real our boss. So if boss feel okay, then we have nothing to complain. Then political field. Yes, 7th century, 8th century, 9th century, Tibet, some historian, after the thorough research, you see, they say during those centuries, Chinese emperor, Tibetan emperor, Mongol emperor, they say that. According to many Chinese ancient history book, literature, mention that. So, but then, about 9th century, end of 9th century, Tibet disintegrated, like that. So now, we are in 21st century. Look, European Union. I always admire European Union and also America, United States. I admire. Small sort of sovereign state. United sort of state. Now United States, like the European Union, already they've some kind of step they've done. I think German and French, one my sort of tutor, I consider tutor, von Weizsäcker, as a day,
Quantum physics.
a quantum physicist. We become very, very close sort of friend. I respect him. I admire him. I received some lesson from him. So I often used to telling, when I listen, when I receive teaching from him, explanation about quantum physics, and also David Bohm, these two persons, I consider my tutor about quantum physics. So when I listen, their explanation, seems I understand something. After finished the lesson, nothing left here. So I usually describe hopeless student. So David Bohm, von Weizsäcker, you see, once mentioned to me, when he was young, then every German eye, French is their enemy. Similarly, French eye, German is their enemy. When we are talking these things, I think the 1990s, and then he said, nowadays, that kind of sort of concept completely changed. So, Adenauer, first German Chancellor, and de Gaulle, French leader, traditionally enemy, because of new circumstances, new reality. So these two persons initiated the spirit of European Union. So therefore, you see, reality changed. Now today, not only sovereign states, but whole, the continent depend on each other. So that's today's reality. So I often is expressing Africa, some kind of union, Pan-Africa, some kind of union. It's the future of Africa. Small states and the civil war or fighting each other. It's mutual destruction. So believe these things. So we also, you see, since 74, you see, we make up in our mind. Now, we should not sort of fight for complete independence. Now we should sort of try to materialize the Chinese constitution, give certain right that should implement on the spot. Like totalitarian system. Sometimes on paper mention something nice things.
Nice.
But doing implementation is different. Only control, control, control. So, and then also, I think I want to mention this, is some Chinese accusations, some Chinese like United Front, they accuse us, they say we are seeking Greater Tibet. No, this very word, Greater Tibet, we never sort of use this word. The Chinese officials use that. What we ask them is, in the constitution, consider Tibetan ethnic groups area, which is a Tibetan ethnic groups area. So the constitution arranged autonomous region, autonomous prefecture, autonomous district, autonomous county. So those areas, constitution recognized as an ethnic Tibetan ethnic group, then we should have same right. So that's our sort of like that. So therefore, it's a middle way, not seeking independence, not satisfy present arrangement. So that's why we call middle way approach. Like that. So telling these things whenever you have sort of opportunity, that's the way to help. Okay.